Hey, Grizz. Let me let me make sure you are a moderator. There you go. Carter, my friend, how are you, Carter? There she is. There's Tina. Carter, Carter. It's so good to see you. Stand by. Carter, it's good to see you, my friend. It really is. Maybe we can talk a little bit later. There she is. Hey,
Hi.
Tina. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm well. Like everything else, rushing, but I'm here. I'm ready to go.
It's your 5 o'clock and it's my 8 o'clock, so.
um, we're going to give it just a couple minutes for everybody to come
Okay.
in, and then we'll start. I'd like to bring up my partner so you can actually meet her as well.
Sure.
How was your day?
Pretty good. Went to go visit a friend, but just tried to relax. I've been pretty busy this week, so.
Nice. You need those times when you can get away, you know?
Yes.
That's important. Wow, your day started early. My day started early, and we started the day in the conversation. We're going to end our days in our day in the conversation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if she can come up. I don't know who that is. Okay. So, because of the time crunch, I know we didn't get a chance to ask you about your using some of your content for our post.
Sure.
But Grizz is really good at making those posts for us tonight. And what I forgot to mention is it was okay for you to post as well and invite your followers if you'd like. That wouldn't be a problem. Actually, we welcome that.
I did share it, so.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Let's see.
Hi, Belvina. I think I see somebody on here.
Okay, now let's see if we can. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started in just a minute or two. You know, I got a chance to take a look at your. There she is.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Grizz. Grizz, this is Tina. Tina,
Hello.
that's
Hi
my partner,
there.
Grizz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you two ladies live in the same state. Did
Yeah.
you know that? Okay.
You told me.
Okay.
Donna, what part?
Okay.
Pardon?
Yeah, we won't get into specifics of it, but I did get a chance to look at your Instagram, Tina, and it's interesting how you've actually made your posts, and we'll kind of get into that in just a little bit. So it's I think we can start.
Sure.
I think we can start. Okay. Welcome everybody to our weekly podcast. My partner and I, Grizz, welcome everybody here to 3 Plus Me, which is a weekly podcast coming out of Hawaii. My partner, of course, is in mainland. Grizz at the bottom, Jade Tiger. If you're not following her, please do so. You can get notifications of when we go live from her, as well as our YouTube channel, The Only Elephant in the Room. Tonight, our guest tonight is someone who messaged me this morning out of the blue, and we were actually struggling with a guest for this week who canceled at the very last minute, and I think it was like maybe 6:45 where she is in the morning, messaged me saying, hey, I'd like to be a part of your podcast, and here we are tonight. So without any further ado, our guest tonight is Infinite Moon Love, Tina Montijo. Did I say that correct?
You did.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. Tina, is a certified spiritual coach, astrologist, and practicing psychic, correct?
Yes, so I don't actually practice astrology, and it has to tie in with the psychic on that, but I'm very aware of numerology and different aspects within the birth chart, so I do practice that a little bit.
Oh,
Mhm,
numerology as well. That's
mhm,
great.
mhm.
Um, we did have someone on earlier part of this year who actually studies and teaches numerology, gives messages to numerology, and I think it's just a fascinating science.
Mm-hmm. It's like a science, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I noticed on your Instagram it says love translated into word through validation. What do you mean by that?
I think it's this vibration. So, I tend to write things, whatever I'm channeling it, so that is just really more of a feeling. But love is translated because I know that there's a lot of what people might perceive, and so this is a huge thing that even we can kind of dialogue about a little bit, the like new age spirituality. But then there's also spirituality and the essence of where our souls, and there's just a lot that comes with that, right?
Hmm.
So when I talk to people, I don't just naturally open up and be like, hey, do you guys know all these cool wuju or whatever I am feeling, because this is my essence and this is my journey along with that, and state of awareness, my consciousness of that. But I do love to lead with love. I know that light exists within all. Some are dim. We're all here. And that's a beautiful experience. We're all on our own journey, essentially. Not one is the same. So, that's the very essence of why I lead with love in that aspect.
Okay, cool. I think I get it.
Yeah.
Um, I know you do have social media. I did get a chance to look at your link tree, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Are they all the same? Infinite Moon Love?
Yes, so they are all uniform, infinite moon love. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Any other type of web pages that we should know about or we can help you advertise with other than your social media that you have posted?
I'm actually working on a website, so that should be up, infinitemoonlove.com. So that's kind of just in the works right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And if someone wanted to book a reading with you, we'll get into the type of services that you offer.
Mm-hmm.
How would they go about doing that?
So you could go to my link tree, or you could email me. That is infinitemoonlove@hotmail.com.
Okay.
Or just message me through Instagram as well. That's pretty easy and simple, I think, for some people, or many
Hmm.
that might have that app in specific. But for the most part, the link tree, and it has the extension. So again, you could just Google Infinite Moon Love and it should generate something. And I'm pretty much the only one, so I've kind of researched
Okay.
as much as I could about this name. Yeah.
Cool. I like that. I learned from someone who was a guest of ours last year,
Mm-hmm.
and she's an influencer. She's also someone that I followed for a very long time on another app and now on this app. She gave me some good advice and said that if we're going to have like a community, if we're going to do what we're doing now, if we're going to be a business, it is probably best to keep everything uniform without all of the punctuations and the underscores and the dashes and the dots. And it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense because no matter who, if you Google it, it's going to come up either one of your social medias or your website or your email.
Yes.
So it makes sense. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was good advice. So I've got a few questions to ask tonight, and some of them I don't know if hopefully they won't be offensive to you at all. But I did get a chance to scroll to your Instagram post, and I like the fact that the energy I was getting from your post was you're kind of an organized person where things have to be done a certain way. You want a certain look on your social media, which makes sense. And I see that you do a couple of readings a day, and then you do some informational stuff, and then you also do another set of uh, readings. And you talked a lot about divine masculine, divine feminine. So I picked up on that. So I'll get started with the questions if that's okay with you. First question I have is, what kind of services does Tina provide? What kind of services do you provide, Tina?
Well, I am starting to increase my business. My goal, if we will start from there, really, that'll enlighten and tell, I guess, all the services that I might offer. One, I am getting trained to do Reiki. I am Reiki attuned. I'm not practicing it on very many people, so that will be coming in the next month or so. My goal is really to provide healing, to align those back to their selves, basically their whole selves, because I think a lot of people, and so I might be talking like a little much, but everybody, we tend to have lost ourselves, our way home, and our home is within ourselves. And so I want to really embrace that and align people, whether they believe in spirituality, but to hopefully be able to grab them with love and light, and at least provide some sort of guidance with the wisdom that I've been, abundant with and blessed. And so I want to use my gifts and what that might entail to help others. Mm-hmm. But so
Okay,
I guess
cool.
that's probably not clear, but tarot readings, of course, but essentially I use tarot or, that as a divinity with my psychic gifts to basically provide that service, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And actually, one of the questions I did have was, where do you see your business in a few years? What's your future? What's the future for your business?
Well, I am in hopes that it will be abundant in the nature that it will be able to reach as many people. So, I've ran my own business beforehand prior to this for the last 15 years and self-employed. So I'm very structured with a little bit of that, but I really want to grow this to an ability to just reach as many people in humanity and to help change many lives.
I think in our conversation this morning, we talked about how, for myself, and I know this is true for a lot of people, where we have a life-changing event, something that's so traumatic, something that affects us so deeply, so deep within that when we're finally ready to seek help, like for me, the traditional way of seeking help, going to get therapy, going to the possibility of medication to keep me a certain way emotionally, for me, it didn't work. And and not saying that it doesn't work for everybody, it didn't work for me. And when I came upon this community of people who were spiritually led, who were sent here to do a certain type of work other than healing, other than the traditional way, I really grabbed onto it. And it's really kind of made a difference for me. And I think people like you, people like Riz, people like some of the people in our community. I know I saw Cran here earlier tonight as well. We're sent here to do a certain type of work. We're sent here to give messages of love like yourself. We're sent here to be supporters. We're sent here to be people of guidance. We're sent here to do a certain type of work that not everybody is willing to do, but everybody's capable to do, if that makes sense. And I like the fact that if I'm looking for answers in my life, I'm looking how to find that healing that I really needed, and the traditional way doesn't work. I like the fact that there's people like Tina here on social media, and the presence that you have, and the work that you're doing. So, anyway, I thought I'd throw that in. Can you? I know you said you're also a spiritual coach, a certified spiritual coach, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So my question is, can you walk us through generally what a session would be like for someone who is um, struggling uh, with self-esteem issues or self-esteem problems, where it wasn't a problem before, but because of a life-changing event, because of a loss, now this self-esteem has really got them down. And I turn to you for help, turn to you to be a coach. Can you kind of walk us through what a session would be like for you?
So I like to use even through my 30-minute or an hour session, but ultimately my goal with somebody would want to work with them in a month session at least. So that would be 1 hour session 1 week. Really what we would do is kind of start off with the first 5 minutes, just kind of check in and see where you're at with everything. I would like to get some background on what your best needs are going to be. And then really I would just create something that's going to dynamically fit individually you, because not every person's the same. There are many techniques, of course, or different resources or things I can provide to you to help you walk through those things. But I would always want to, do a reading, essentially, kind of establish that rapport. And when I do speak with people, I always speak with love and compassion, because I always feel like, I've come from such a hurt place myself, so I know how that feels. So I definitely would want to engage that way. And then the weekly sessions would be the check-in, and then we would just check to see where you're at, what kind of homework we could provide for that week, so you can have that time to really go within, do some shadow work, and kind of tap into that a little bit more.
So it's very customized. Is what you're saying?
It would be, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there someone that you draw inspiration from? Is there someone on an influencer or someone in the spiritual community that you draw inspiration from? Someone that you turn to when you need answers?
So if you're generalizing that on the outside scope of anybody personally that I interact with, naturally I don't have anybody specific. I think that I meditate. I really try to go within. I do watch people, but I don't idolize them in a way that I would remember, like if that's a certain person. As far as, and that becomes a very touchy subject with me as well, just because of my personal beliefs with a lot of things. But yeah, that would be the best answer.
Okay, I get it. I get it. What would you say is the best part of the work that you do? Type of work you do?
That I still get to communicate with people. I love talking to people, and I never realized how much I was able to help, even in the aspect as I feel I'm more able to now, as opposed to I would have been 5 years ago if I was with my other career that I do. So
I see. Yeah, I believe that we as humans, we were designed to interact with each other. Um, and coming from a place where I did have that interaction with many people, work and family, and another point in my life, nothing, living alone, no one to communicate with, no one to listen to, no one to talk with. That lack of interaction, it really plays on the mind, plays in your emotion. It puts you in such a state where, I'll be honest, and I know Grizz knows this about me, but there was a time when, man, it got dark for me because I wasn't able to interact with other people. Um, and I was so used to having an interaction, being around 50, 60, 70 people every day because of work, and coming home to a family, a full house, and all of a sudden that's no more. And I've left that job and I'm home alone now and nothing but my four walls. And it just played into my psyche. It brought me to a really dark place. And I thank that other app that we were a part of, and that's part of why we're rebuilding our community here. If it wasn't for that community, I don't think I would have been able to really move past the darkness. I think I would still be there. I was actually in that darkness for a few years, and it was difficult. And I didn't know about this type of work. I didn't know about the spiritual side. I didn't know about the non-traditional type of ways of finding help, seeking help, and healing. Um, I think for anyone who has gone through any type of uh, life-changing experience, whether it be 2 days ago or 20 years ago, there is always a constant healing that we go through. We get triggered by certain things, we get triggered by certain words, triggered by certain memories, and there's always this needing to reassure ourselves um, that it's okay, we've gotten past this, to ground our energies, to meditate, to journal. And I think a lot of it, and then, I know you said you meditate as well too, and I try and make it a daily part of my life, and it's kind of helped me to maintain my emotions where before I was all over the place. I was triggered by the tiniest of
Hmm.
things, but it's still a struggle, and healing is a lifetime process. I think it's not something where today I'm totally healed. I'm going to do spiritual work. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a lawyer. I don't know what realm you live in because that's not where I live.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it does take time. So, what is the most difficult part of the type of work you do?
Oh gosh, that I can drain myself in a day if I don't properly maintain and balance myself. So that is one of the biggest things I've worked on within my own journey, so that I can help other people achieve as well, is finding that balance, that equilibrium. I don't know how much people really play into their zodiac signs, but I'm, a lot of water. So I am very much always in my emotions and always tapped in a little bit too much sometimes.
So, does that mean that you're probably empath as
Oh,
well?
I'm huge empath, huge empath. I feel
Okay.
everything.
Yeah.
And it's only been the last couple of years that I've learned why I was the way I was for many years. So, mhm.
Yeah. My ex-wife, she would get irritated because when she was the I like to be in the center of everything type of person, um, the Libra, she was the typical Libra, and that sounded so offensive. I apologize. And I am the total opposite. Uh, and I don't do good at funerals. I definitely don't do good at funerals. I hated crowds. I couldn't go to even when we used to take our trips 3 times a year, 4 times a year to the mainland, to Disneyland, to Knott's Berry Farm, all these little family-friendly places, or even on the island that we lived on, being part of a community, the community functions that were going on and for their schools. And I didn't do good around people. I didn't understand why. I always thought I just get this weird feeling in me, and I got to be off alone in the corner. I got to be in my own little spot. I have to have my comfort zone. And I used to make pretend I had this invisible bubble around me, and it doesn't work. It didn't work. Not for
I'll
where
say
we
you were a
went.
step ahead a little bit. Most people don't
Yeah,
realize they can, invoke a shield around them a little bit. So,
I I was so uncomfortable around a crowd, even in elevators. I think for me were the worst until I finally found out. Okay, so it must be that I'm an empath because I could feel others' energies really strong. Um, and then two, I think as empaths, sometimes, well, for me, if my mind is cluttered with work or a problem or my children or anything else, I find that it's a distraction of my energy. It's a distraction of my emotions and my feelings, and I can kind of deal with the crowd. But it's like when you run a marathon, you got that energy going, and you're so hyped up and ready to go, and all of a sudden you sit down and drink a bottle of water. It's like, oh boy, I'm exhausted. It's the same thing with for me as an empath. After I get through that crowd, after I get through Disneyland, 9 hours later, standing in line for every ride with crying kids and pushing parents and all these energies around me, and I get back to the hotel and I need to take a deep breath. And I think I tried my best not to, but I turned to a little bit of whiskey at the end of the day to kind of calm my nerves down. I thought, okay, that will do it. But it only made it a little bit worse. So, you know, that's empath in me. Um, you answered the last question. Where would you like to see your business or your work in the future? So that was quick and easy. I like that. Is
it certainly was.
is there anything you'd like to share with us other than what we've talked about in the last 35 minutes? You're welcome to.
Um,
This will be your time.
well, I don't really know. We could have like a candid chat. I don't think that you and I really, and that could probably help just people, have
Yeah.
a deeper state of awareness, I guess. My journey actually began in 2020. So when I say that it began, it was more of that I had a huge catalyst that propelled me to the point to where I'm at. I have now since backtracked a lot and seen a lot of where my dark night started, where the darkness really kind of transpired from, and learned a lot to navigate myself and who I am. Because I know you mentioned something earlier, and I do value love and light, but I also value the fact that love is such a huge part of who I am in my nature and even my name. And so this is where numerology and all of these things come into play, right? But let me see, there was something I wanted to say. A lot of what you said really resonated with me too. Obviously, for the empath side, I don't think a lot of people, which is something to probably touch on. I've grown up around, and this is a part of me, so I share this because I'm very transparent and open. But my uncles, being native, indigenous, they had huge addictions, and these now I in turn see how free they were not able to be, and that really weighs heavy on me in my own journey. So again, that's a part of something that has helped me become, or at least try to work towards being the best version that I can be, especially as a mom, especially as a woman. These things really, I try to find balance within my own life. And that's really where I've navigated from, working with people on the aspect that I did, regardless, for my business, but now working in this type of aspect with others.
Yeah, I like the fact that everyone has an origin story. Everyone has an awakening moment. I'm guessing, or I'm sure we do. Like for me, it took my divorce, and before I could even have my eyes opened, I had to see all the darkness that was there, and the realization of where I failed. I blamed a lot of I blame my divorce on my ex, and that's only half the truth. Um, I I pretended to be the victim, and I talked to my children about that, and they got tired of hearing that. They get tired of saying, Dad, you're not the only one affected by this, and I couldn't see that. And it took me a few years to understand that, man, it, it does take two to fall in love. It takes two to fall out of love. In this case, we don't like to say fall out of love. We say we've grown apart. That's the term I use with my boys, especially my youngest son. I didn't fall out of love with your mom. I still care about your mom, but we grew apart. We no longer had the same interests. They weren't aligned anymore, you know. Um, and it changed really how I am as a parent. My understanding, when I started to understand this different way of life, this different way of healing, this alternative method for healing,
Mm-hmm.
to really understand and accept and actually, like you said, be transparent, and not lie to myself and say, no, you're the best husband you could have been. You did everything for her, and I used to say that a lot on streams, way back when I started streaming, and I really painted a poor picture of her, and I should not have done that because it only made me look really bad. And the universe worked on that with me and said, oh, no, no, we're going to open up your book and we're going to show you all the times, whether you knew it or not, how you failed, whether you knew it or not, how you weren't in alignment with your partner, whether you knew it or not, how you weren't the best father you could have been to your children. You might have been the manager and the best person at this airline industry or this food and beverage industry, but that didn't carry over to your personal life. That success as a leader didn't carry over in your personal life. And it hit hard. It hit me hard. But I understood. I understood. And um, I think when we go through those changes, we have that moment of clarity. And there's a moment when that moment of clarity comes, it's not just that, but it's the moment of acceptance.
Yes.
You talked about love. I had a conversation yesterday And I've said this before in past podcasts where it, it wasn't a joke, but it was a joke, where I've said, not everything is love and light. Don't be fooled. That's BS. That's bullshit. Not everything is love and light, especially what I was going through at that time. But
Mhm.
it can be if you seek it. It can be if you want it to be. Everything can be love and light in your life if you want it to be.
Mhm.
If you don't want it, it's going to be evident. People are going to know it. People are going to see it. People around you are going to know it. Your family's going to know it. Your friends are going to know it. Even strangers are going to know it. And this person I was talking to last night, she has a family member who has lost one of their relatives, and she wanted to really be there for this person. You know, constantly messaging, well, not constantly, but messaging this other person, hey, if you need to talk, hey, I'm here, and wouldn't get an answer. And so I told her, people like us, people who are in the type of work that we do, we we share love, we speak love, we want love to be a priority in everyone's lives, yes, but not everybody is ready to accept the full cup of love just because we have it. Not, not everybody's at that point.
Right.
And I learned that through a friend last year where I kept messaging this person, hey, I'd like to take you up for a cup of coffee. Hey, I'd like to get to know you. Hey, I'd like to maybe have you be a guest. And I had just this schoolboy, I don't know if it's a schoolboy crush, but I had such a wanting, a yearning to be friends with this person. And then, we would communicate back and forth, but finally she said it in a post. She speaks through her posts on Instagram. And the
Oh
post said,
gosh.
not that, yeah, she's one of those. Not all of us are capable of accepting a full cup of love when all
Oh,
we've known was just a half cup of love.
wow.
And I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, holy crap. Because this person was in a difficult relationship. And it would not have worked out for her or for me if we got into a relationship at the same time as well. You know. So for me, I think my priority in life, yeah, I'd like everybody to be love, share love, speak love. I mean, that would be in ideal world for me. But I also have to remember to be realistic and know that uh, not everybody's going to like who I am, what I say, what I represent. Um, not everybody's going to like my sense of humor. Not everybody's going to like the way I speak. But the only person that matters is me.
One of the things I have vastly learned about myself, and this goes with dealing with taking accountability in our own role of our own darkness, right? And seeing this part, but it has been, and I told many people this, and it's helped me engage with working with even like my son's father, as you know, we're not together. Um, is that other people can only meet you as like as far as they are in their journey. And so when we have the ability to hold space and compassion, it's where we can see it in a higher perspective and really see that, they're not able to always see our point or our perspective, which is that desire for this love, the desire for love, for them to feel loved. And we can't always push that love on them, right? We can only
Mm-hmm,
meet them as much as they can meet us. So
mm-hmm. Yeah. 2 days ago, I got a text from my ex-wife, and she said, I messaged you, but you never replied. And the the asshole guy in me, the asshole masculine in me, wanted to reply with, I want to reply, but my phone won't let me use profanity.
oh gosh.
But I decided not to, because that would only be poking the bear. So I didn't reply. You know, take what she needs to. She needs to be heard. That's some people just need to be heard.
Mhm.
So I let her speak. Doesn't have to mean I have to believe what she has to say. I have to agree to what she has to say.
Right.
We do have our oldest son who is graduating from college. He is the first, and I'm super proud of him. And the conversation sometimes it starts off friendly, and then it just gets really ugly. And I stopped doing that for years now. I'm like, I don't want any more of this energy. I'm done with that energy. You got to move past it. I did already. You know.
Yeah.
Um, what is the one thing? I don't know if I should ask the question. So let's talk about the post that I kind of scrolled through on your Instagram. Divine
The divine.
masculine,
Mhm.
divine feminine.
Mhm.
And I think I also saw on your profile hashtag twin flame.
Journey. Yeah.
How about we talk about that? How about you explain that to me a little bit?
um, well, it's a very interesting story. I think that along in my own journey, so this is what I don't harp on, but I really discuss a lot of, and it's really my not my niche, because when I began to be able to read and to channel, I think I specifically told the divine, I was like, I'm not talking about love. So that is what they gave me. And in this aspect, it has been an amazing, painful, glorious, beautiful scene that continues to play out in my life. And in my own journey of the twin flame journey, as I accept that, I also accept the fact that, and this is something that intuitively and whatever I channel, that we all have the ability innately to have, which is within ourselves. It's this inner union with our divine masculine and our divine feminine. And we tend to have this internalized so much that it ultimately becomes an outside perspective, an outside energy that we have now attracted in. And so in that aspect, I talk highly in a lot. That is a lot of my readings when I post. Is that my
Mm-hmm.
only thing I discuss when I do readings? Absolutely not. But it is something that I'm called to continue to put out there so that the divine, so that other that can resonate with that can really come whole. And this is where love comes full circle for me, because love is a beautiful thing. It's not something that, I think everybody fights off, but because of how we've been in humanity going and ascending on our own path that way. Um, so that's really where that comes from. But I absolutely love trying to help people find the duality and find wholeness within themselves, and really taking that out so that we're not separating and we're not leaning to one into one way or not, and we're able to have compatible relationships. So, and
A couple of years back, I had a reading done, and this person asked me about divine feminine, divine masculine, and I didn't understand the terminology.
Mhm.
I didn't understand what she meant, and I had assumed that she was talking about this woman that I was with at the time, and
Mhm.
I assumed that's what she meant by the divine feminine, and I being the divine masculine.
Mhm.
And it took a lot of research and a few podcasts and a few readings to understand that we all have a feminine and masculine side
Mhm.
in each of us. And uh, I think one of the things that I hear a lot of people throw around are the two words that some people say are interchangeable, some people say it's not. And I think you know what those two words are: twin flames and soulmate. And I've been told two answers. They're both the same, and the second answer was they're not the same. So thank you for confusing me even more. Is that something you think that we can just talk about? Uh,
um,
twin flames and soulmate?
so my discernment with that is that, and I use these three words or three phrases, however you want to distinguish them, but for semantic purposes, it is a spiritual connection. to paraphrase it, to make it one, to allow people to realize it. And the spiritual connection really is an energy, because we're all energy. We all have our own frequency and vibrate. We oscillate at, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with divine counterparts, that's summing it up into the divine. When we talk about soulmates, you know, I know that people tend to use these differently. Again, I clump them together because it's very difficult to separate it for the logical sense of mind sometimes. And so we have soulmates where they're supposed to be, you know, a lot of people tend to think they're kinder, softer relationships, if you will, romantic ones, or even friendship or family. It could be your child is your soulmate. It could be your parent was your soulmate, or a coworker that you just randomly met, and you just have this very energetic connection to them. This is where love, and then we take out that romantic part. So soulmates is different when I discuss that. Twin flames is of a more romantic nature, but it can also hold very much this energy where you just, it doesn't have to be romantic. The part with that, though, is that it is a very intense connection. If you've ever had a synastry done, I have a friend who does them, and the synastry really goes over your guys's, basically your birth charts, your natal charts, and it's going to show where you guys really overlap. And that overlapping is that energy connection. Now, do I perhaps believe, which is something to discuss, and I guess it could, you know, people can actually have that conversation, and not a lot of people want to. Do you only have one twin flame? I don't know. I can't tell people that. I will never tell nobody or anybody what they want to hear. I will say what the energy is relaying, and energy is ever flowing. So even if you have this distinguished, you know, twin flame or soulmate connection, and you want to refer to it as a romantic one, the energy today could be different, even though you guys have that strong soul contract. And that's so that there are lessons, karmic, as some people will say. That doesn't mean it's bad or it's good, but it's just the energy that you're going to have to work through. That's my belief. I don't know if that like confused you more, or you have questions, but I mean, there's a lot to it. It's not just a very one simple kind of answer to this.
You know, like anything in life, I mean, you can give it an explanation, you can give it the definition, you can give it the origin, you can give it anything you need to define what this word or what the phrase is, and it'll only come up with another question. So I think I get it. I think I get it.
Yeah.
I I was asked one time in a reading if I believe I've ever met my twin flame or my soulmate, and I couldn't answer it. And I had to think about why I couldn't answer if I had met my soulmate and my twin flame. And I believe at that time it was because I didn't really know who I was. How can I define my twin flame and soulmate if I don't even know who I am?
Right.
How can I say that I found one or more than one if I'm not even comfortable with myself? You know? And sometimes it's a difficult pill to swallow where I have this image of who I was previously in work or in this church I used to attend, and so involved in so many different um, groups at church, and so involved at work, and have many employees working with me, and come to find out that, man, I don't even know if I know who I am really. I maybe I did then, but at this point in my life, I've either evolved or devolved. And I think when I was going through my darkest time, I believe that it was uh, not an evolution, but the opposite of that when I went through my dark. But it made me vulnerable. It made me see things that I wasn't really happy with. It made me see things that, man, I wish I did that different. Man, I wish I didn't say that. Man, I wish I said this instead. You know, and it's like I said, healing for us, it's a daily chore. It's a daily thing for us. It's just like evolution, growth. It's uncomfortable. Changes are uncomfortable, but it's so necessary. So I'm going to ask you, do you believe you have ever met a soulmate or a twin flame?
Yeah.
That's
There's
cool.
your answer. What did you want to know about it?
That's
There,
cool.
I think they I think that what is interesting to have a little introspection and retrospect, right, of oneself and one's journey is that we ultimately have met many, even though we're conscious, more conscious now, we're awake to this awakened state and to a spiritual aspect within ourselves. I think that there's more recognition on it. It's a very
Mm.
strong energy that sometimes you can't pull away from. And in this, it's also very tumultuous at times. It can be. It can be so strong that you can't live without communicating or seeing them one day to the next. These type of energies therefore create frustration because of how we are
Oh, yeah.
expected to live, and expected of what relationships mean and what healthy means versus not healthy. And this is a lot of programmed information that we are seeing and that's being dismantled. So being in the awakened state, more conscious, it's been a more beautiful experience in realizing these aspects within the others, but it's also been a very different learning experience as well personally. So
Do you find that I know we didn't really talk about your past, and I don't want to really bring that up, but do you find that there is a difference in who Tina is and an evolution and a growth and really, really obviously you really love who you are, but do you find that there is that difference in who Tina is now than what Tina used to be before, or Tina was before?
um is there a major difference? I would like to say there were many parts of myself that I didn't love, and in being more now where I'm at today and every day going forward, I absolutely know that there's change that is for the better.
Uh-huh.
So you're asking if I've seen the change or if I feel like I like myself better?
Both.
All of it. I think that I love myself more, and I will be honest, I don't think that I was a bad person. I'm not speaking with my ego. I know I did bad things and had bad tendencies, but my heart has always been pure. I had, you know, been very beaten emotionally and mentally and
Uh-huh.
spiritually as a child.
Oh, yeah.
So these aspects condemned who I was naturally in this state that I am in
Mm.
right now. I
Yeah.
can smile and talk to random people and open conversations, especially those that I see literally are feeling low or I see their energy.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones I go and sit right next to in silence and just say hi. And, I was not able to be that free version of myself. So it's just gotten a lot better.
I think once we're able to understand where we where a failure is, like I'll speak for myself. Once I understood where my failure was, as a husband, as a dad, once I understood what that was, what I didn't do right, what I wish I did differently, um, and actually embraced that, it gave me a newfound confidence, gave me a newfound belief in the things that I do and the things that I say. Um, and it actually took me out of this certain leadership position, which I've always been throughout my entire career, is either a manager of some form or another, to now being behind the scenes, now being a servant. Like, uh, uh, I help my parents with their church food distribution once a month. Um, and the manager in me wants to, okay, I'm going to take charge because I'm well trained in food and I know exactly what we should be doing. And I have the highest case of uh, customer service, but that's not what I was called there for. And I
Right.
understood that. And I enjoy being behind the scenes. I enjoy being part of the labor uh, force. I enjoy being the ones that are supportive of someone else to take lead, take control. And I like being able to support these people. So that's where I am now in actually all of my life, where I'm more of someone who is willing to stay behind the scenes, to support others, to have people like yourself on our podcast. Hey, Amy, Annie, Aim Readings. I'm sorry. She was one of our guests to support her as well. And my partner Grizz. I like being behind the scenes. I like being able to lift people up. I like being able to send well wishes or say a prayer for someone. I like being able to say, hey, I'm here if you ever need me. Don't ever feel like I'm not here. I like being able to do that. And like you, to find that one person who may not be having the best day, who may not be able to smile today, but you go up to that person, you sit with that person. Just the fact that you let them know that you're here for them, man, it speaks volumes. You don't have to say anything. Just that action alone, just the intention, just the exchange of energy is felt, it's believed, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is. There's so much that we can say without using words.
Indeed.
So I would like to talk about the possibility of you either doing a reading, giving a reading, doing a collective one, or actually, I haven't had one in a while.
Going to read you?
And I'm putting myself out there. I have to tell you, I'm never comfortable with readings, but yeah.
Well, do you have a question, or you just want me to read you, like your current energy and what you need to know, or?
I do. Give me a minute to rephrase that, to phrase it.
Okay.
Give me a minute to phrase it. For those of you who are just joining us tonight, we are with
You're overdue.
Tina. We are with Tina. Infinite Moon Love. It was out of the blue. We actually talked this morning about the possibility of her being a guest. We had spoken previously, and the time was right. And the universe is so awesome that we were struggling with our guest this week who canceled at the very last minute. And I get a message from Tina, and she's here tonight. Tina, we appreciate you being here. If you're not following her, please, guys, give her a follow. Check out her bio. Check out her Instagram post. I do believe you post a few times a day, but not every day.
It hasn't been consistent, but I'm getting there daily now with this one, the platform.
Also, check out her YouTube channel as well. If you're not subscribed, I'll be subscribing after we get off tonight. Uh, Infinite Moon Love, right?
Yes.
On YouTube. Also, the only elephant in the room, I think most of you know that already. If you're not subscribed to our channel, please do so. Turn on the bell notifications and make sure you give it a like. And with that, Tina, my question to you is a little bit of background. I've been asked to step onto a different platform, and I've been fighting it for a while now. And the offer came up again today.
What is that?
So to remove myself from this community to be part of another community, because certain people believe that there will be more success for me there in what I do here. And I've tried to explain that I'm not looking to be successful. I'm not looking to be an influencer. I'm not looking for 1,000, 2,000, 19,000 followers. I'm looking for the 5 people, 10 people who will come back, be a constant part of my life, be a constant part of our podcast every week, who will interact with me, who will share, who will support, who will believe. So I guess my question is, am I on the right track? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be?
So I'm gonna pull some oracle, but I'm gonna tap into your energy a little bit and see what we can really see. I
Okay.
do feel like you have obviously, because I'm such a huge empath, and maybe there's just an overall energy with anxiousness. This is seeing too much into the future with this, though. I do believe your success comes from within your heart, and that is almost the most invaluable thing to you. And so, even in having the luxury of opportunity, doesn't trample like like the elephant, in a herd. It's not like something that's going to fulfill you and your soul and whatever your path is on the journey that you've been with helping. So the one card that comes out first is it's telling us take time to breathe out. That's definitely something, because you probably holding your breath a lot. With regards to like literally like not, like waiting to exhale. So literally it's like you're living. Why does this feel like it's a burden for you?
Well,
Is there fears that you have
explain.
with this?
I'm sorry.
Are there fears that you have with this? Fears of success, fears of limitation with it, or like a feeling that you don't deserve it?
I think for me the fear is there is great weeks where we're successful at what we're doing, and there are the really shitty weeks where I really feel like, man, I could have done this differently to make this happen. I could have done that differently to make it happen. And sometimes I'm at the top of the world, and sometimes I'm at the bottom rung of the step ladder, not knowing what the hell to do. And I've kind of thought a little bit about stopping what we do, and I haven't spoken to my partner about that. But again, I can't make a decision. I believe my place is here, Instagram Live, and not in another platform, because I think what I want to create and build is going to be lost in that other platform. I don't want to be lost.
So I almost feel like there's this cutoff of where you feel like you can't start something new, and you can't be inclusive with what you are. And so this translates into you losing a part of yourself. I feel like it's very internalized though. Um, when you're looking at the bigger picture, because the card here says also to look at the bigger picture, but it's Sagittarius energy. So that's very much fire and passion, right? And it
Mhm.
seems like you've done entrepreneur type of energy work anyway. So you're very much a leader, but like you like to sit back a little bit and observe and allow the things to kind of flow. The death card is at the bottom. So this is all about endings and new beginnings. So I do feel like there's something that the sense of responsibility that you're holding towards a lot of other things outside of your own happiness and joy, though, is kind of weighing you down. I feel like that is something you've done in your past experiences with just whatever different things you're working on in life, though. Because again, I keep hearing the word acceptance, but there's also this Ace of Pentacles, which is really coming out. And this is about leading with your heart. This is about leading fearlessly and taking the emotion out of it sometimes, because there's so much pressure in that sacral area, right? And this is that solar plexus, but then your heart is just like so heavy. And then,
No, you're right.
there's no
You're
disaster.
there.
There's no disaster, because what I'm feeling is like there's this tumultuous energy that you just feel like it's just, and then it's like it's such a tremble to you, like literally. And
I'll
you're
tell you,
very,
I'll tell you why you're there, because for me, a lot of times it feels like my heart and my head aren't working together.
but
My heart is here.
you do you know where you are a big decision maker though in your body? Like you're saying mind, but a lot of people, so we have very much open portals within us, right? And
Mhm.
so your decisions are very sacral. That's your energy is very in your sacral energy. Have you ever researched your chakras a little bit?
I have not.
No. So you make a lot of decisions, and there's a sense of impulsivity and impulsiveness, but there's this, and this is why your mind is conflicted with your heart, because your mind is really your sacral energy, which is really interesting. Um, you have
Impulsive
this,
is the one thing I'm not. Because I am a Gemini, I'm a hoarder of information. I will sit back, I will watch, I will observe, I will take notes, and then I'll make a decision. But
no, I know, but the impulsivity is like you want to jump, but you don't. It's like you're sitting, okay, you know when somebody wants to dive off the diving board or they want to jump up from their chair?
mhm,
So you want to lead with that energy because you have this Sagittarian energy. So it's a lot of passion in it, but it's like there is something that very much weighs you down like an anchor in the chair.
mhm,
Now, the logical part of you, whatever that part is, like that is something that you really want to remove. I feel like in this type of instance, because I feel like there would be more opportunity with whatever you were planning to do. I don't even know what platform or what your goal is there, but I think there's going to be more opportunity that you will be able to not only expand within your connections, your group, however you want to perceive
mhm.
that, and that will help them expand. And I don't know if that's something that there's a stifled energy. It's like we're only seeing so much of it, but we're not seeing the higher perspective on how it can really ripple effect. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yeah,
But we do have the Three of Hearts as well, or the Three of Swords. Now, well, that's the conflict though. The conflict is really there's a balance, then there's this, and then there's this. So like there's this new opportunity, the imbalance of the indecision and the heartache and thinking that it's going to cause rather than trying to find the balance in where all of everything can fit. Since you are so logical, you should be compartmentalizing these things. I don't like saying should, but it would be great for you to compartmentalize the things that are feeling like they're in disarray a little bit. I mean, you're being asked to meditate a lot heavy on this, I feel like. Once you breathe a little bit, I feel like, I hope you've been breathing because I feel like it dissipated a little bit. We have obviously the Two of Pentacles and then the Four of Pentacles. So like there's
it's
this
like
sense of, go ahead.
it's like one of those things where I won't quit. I'm not a quitter. I don't start something just to quit. I don't start something not to complete it. If I start something, I've already seen the goal. I've already um, wrote down what my goal is, and um, sometimes it feels like it, sometimes it feels like I don't want to let people down. I don't want to let myself down. And that's where the really jumbled energy comes from, where I would like to be a success in whatever success is supposed to mean for me, and I don't want to let people down.
So that's that people pleasing part of you.
I think so. I think so.
I think this is really a quest for like and not necessarily a major decision, but it's more of a test into who you really are and will you push past the limits that you have placed within yourself and also that have been subconsciously within you throughout your inner child part. I'm sure you've probably done work on that a little bit, but I would really like retouch that because this decision is what's a little bit a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so we would really want to have you touch on that a little bit because even with the three cards that are coming out, and there were a lot of words that were coming to me, but it's like this very stifled, oh gosh, it's like I see a little kid in like a luggage. It's kind of like you're very much packed away in something. And since there's four sides, it's like it's very limited. You know, when we build houses, for instance, right, they're very four square. Like we can't see past the one start ending point. But in a circle, there's the circle of life where it's continuous and there's always going to be this energy that's flowing, which is, you know, the mandala too. Like when you think about that, but you have the page of wands. So there's this very little like piece of energy that wants to try this, but then there's this happiness and joy that could provide abundance in whatever way that might even mean to you. Again, I don't feel like it's a decision where you need to make it. I feel like it's a decision on why you're getting this opportunity and where you are in your own with this. And so maybe this could be growing and you're stifling the growth on it. So here's something showing you like you could be this. And you're like, well, I don't want to change out of that. I want to stay here, but you're not moving past this part. And this has the ability to be amazing, right? The Queen of Swords coming out, which is a little interesting because this is fantasia, you know, it's just like it's a feminine energy. So this is again you with your boundaries, but this is about you creating a structure on how you can articulate yourself and maybe dig deep within yourself and use more of your feminine energy and not so much of your masculine logical part, because you're very logical. Well,
Yeah.
you are. You said you're a Libra, son. Is that what you're?
I am a
Oh,
Gemini,
Gemini.
Pisces, and
Oh,
Sagittarius.
you're a Pisces moon. No wonder. Interesting. That's just kidding.
It's like, okay, that sounded like the dentist. Oh, you're a Pisces moon. No wonder. It sounded like a dentist when he's drilling your teeth and he makes a hole and you jump in your seat because he hit a nerve and now you're bleeding and he goes, okay, rinse. It's like one of those moments, okay, rinse.
Well, you know,
Holy
because
shit.
so Pisces in general, right? You're a Gemini. You said Gemini, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so Gemini's, right, we're twins. You guys, I don't have any Gemini. I think I have one placement. But Geminis are necessarily, they're more twins. So there's this aspect, I feel like they're always fighting with each other. There's always this
Yeah,
indecisive.
I actually have a twin sister as well.
Oh shit. Pardon my language. It's gonna be a little difficult.
No,
So
believe me, we're not a monetized channel, so you can say whatever you want.
okay. But I feel like with that, you know, and then your Pisces, since that's your moon, you know, our moon sign is supposed to be the one we live in the most. So obviously this is where you're very gifted, but you don't reside there often. You reside more in your air energy, which is your mindset and your thought process and the logical part of that whole aspect.
Oh
But
yeah.
but with the Pisces, that's the overthinking. That's also overthinking. So
Oh
this
yeah.
is very much you're a bundle of joy, as they say, and that's probably why I see you in the luggage and it's zipped up, but it's like you're just in there and they like packed you away nicely and tight, and you gotta find a way to get out of that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not your typical roll-on, I am your put me in the bottom of the aircraft type of luggage. That's where I am right now. You can even ship me in cargo if you needed to, put it that way. So I get it. But we're being vulnerable here tonight. So I'm gonna just kind of talk a little bit more, if that's okay, and continuing on the reading. There have been, oh gosh, am I really doing this? Yeah. So there have been a lot of poor decisions on my part growing up. Um, there have been people I've hurt. There have been people that I've asked to leave my life, not in so many words, but by actions. Um, and there was a lot of healing I needed to do uh, from my childhood, and it didn't happen. And I didn't understand how it all worked, how it all affected me as an adult. I kind of understood it when I had my first son, and then life got too busy and put everything else, my feelings and everything else on the back burner because everything was about my children. Then we had my third child, and life was even busier, it was more hectic. Business was really getting bad for me, and the whole time my marriage was falling apart, and I couldn't see it, And in understanding now, years later, because of the healing that didn't happen from my childhood many years ago, and how it's kind of all come full circle. And I didn't like how I would, sometimes even now, I am a different person outside of being with my family as opposed to being with and around my family. I'm a totally different person. I'm very closed off to that. I'm very protective of me, of my feelings, my energy, and everything else that meant the luggage that you're seeing. That's me putting myself in the sacred space, especially when I'm around my family, because a lot of times they can be the most unhealthy energies for me. And I've said it before where my family sees me with old eyes than me I once was. I wasn't really a good person at one point. I wasn't always like that. But there was a point I was pissed off at the world. I was angry at God, and I despised everyone and everything and built emotional walls. And, I've told this story before, and it was pushing that wanting of healing from my inner child even further away. So I've never said that before in public.
It's very profound.
That gave me goosebumps. Anyway, does that make sense?
Or are you asking me if that makes sense?
Yes.
No, absolutely. That is entirely. I mean, the one card I was waiting to pull up because you were talking is the Six of Cups. So, I mean, this is obviously, and this is after we're talking about it, but this is about the inner child wounds, and it's also about nurturing that little person so you can actually walk out of that suitcase. I don't think this is a big decision. I think it's an overwhelming one that you're debating with, but I do feel like it's more of a test to see where you're at with what your desires are and to push through these old ways of thinking and old limitations, because there's a lot of that. And even the Eight of Swords is on the bottom, so it's like you're caging yourself in when you don't need to with all of these negative thoughts or thoughts of what could happen, as opposed to thinking that there's possibility that's flourishing and creating that, right? Because your mindset is so powerful. And so that's one of the things I really weigh heavy on. Our consciousness is everything. I think that you would have great opportunity if you at least explored it a little bit more, but I don't know if it would be the worst thing for you to do. I know you're debating on it, so there's not really a right or wrong answer. And I don't know if you're looking for that. I'm trying to give you like a point of exhaust that you can like spend on really why you're debating so hard, because it leads down to not just a decision, but it's more of something that will help you grow through the next process or whatever comes up for you. And this beautiful gift that you have that you share with the world right now.
I think any decision I make, really, I'm understanding it affects more than just myself now. Being part of a community, being someone who is co-founder with my partner Grizz in wanting to build a community that is loving, that is sharing, that is supportive. Any decisions I make, any decisions we make together, it affects more than just me now. And I think that's one of the things that stops me from moving to a different platform. My end goal for me is to be on YouTube only, to go live on YouTube. That's my end goal. It's a bigger audience for me. There's a little bit more leeway with that, and more than Instagram is. But I do believe right now my calling started in Instagram and is still here. As far as any other type of platform, and me making a decision, me even attempting to maybe not bad thing to check it out, but my decisions affect more than myself now. And I think that's what I'm afraid of how it affects, how it's going to affect others. I don't want to, hey, I'm starting a community. Come follow me on Instagram. Okay, now, a year later, I'm going to go to this platform. Come follow me here. But wait a minute, I found something else better. Come follow me there. And then still wanted to come to YouTube later. Hey, I'm going to go to YouTube. Come follow me there. I think I've never been that type of person. I've never been impulsive. I've never been one to say, let's go do it. Let's get out of there. Let's go check it out. I am an overthinker. I like to plan. Before we even start any guests we come up, I usually take notes, and then usually 3 or 4 pages of notes that I have of each guest and questions that might want to bring up and anything else. And that's just a part of who I am, part of my training, and not really relying on the spiritual side of myself. This is really the logical side of pen and paper. And I think I'm just realizing that I've got.
Do you feel like you have? Do you feel like you've moved and transitioned from your ultimate ideal type of way you want to format your community, and you've transitioned in? It's like a realtor jumping from Coldwell Banker to whatever Remax or to my home group or different aspects of that. Okay. So do you feel like you have jumped within certain time frames, and have you looked at that pattern and cycle that you have now created for yourself, which is this opportunity, which is only hindering your mindset and your process of emotions? But there's a cycle here that maybe you're not seeing then, because it's
There's
really
a good
hindering
possibility of that.
Yeah.
I can't say that I feel like I've jumped.
But you've shifted every so often.
I have shifted. Yeah. I have shifted, and I'm not easily swayed. I have trust issues a lot of times, and it's from past hurt. And I don't allow a lot of people into my life, and I've always lived like that. So for me to speak as openly as I am tonight, it is a big step for me. I'm always the type where I don't want people to see this about me, and I was always afraid of any type of reading, because then we pull back the curtain to see, ooh, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And meanwhile, Toto is pulling back the curtain so we can all see who it is. It's not really the Wizard of Oz, you know.
But you know what I learned about the Wizard of Oz the other day? I had an epiphany, and I probably should have known this. Is the lion, right? He walked on the yellow brick road, but the yellow brick road was courage, because that's the yellow chakra. I don't know how I just never knew that. There's certain things we just start getting like clarity on.
Yeah. I think when I gave my reply to this person, and this person is a really, really good friend of mine, and we've been friends for a long time, and he's been wanting me to move over to this different platform, and has reassured me that Spirit has said this is where you belong, this is where you're going to be the most successful at what you do. And it's a pretty package. You got a pretty wrapper and a pretty bowl, and it's got flowers and candies all over it, and that's really what I'm not looking for. I'm looking for the torn box with the ripped edges, the torn edges. I'm looking for the box without the cover. I'm looking for the wrapper that's faded. I'm looking for the present that's only half working. Because that's where I belong right now. That's really where I belong. And I like that along the way I get to connect with and meet some really beautiful people tonight, like yourself. And you see some of our community members, Reddit and J Tiger and One Blessed Diva and AIM Readings, and Cleo was here earlier. These are some beautiful people who are like my family now. They fill the void that I've had personally. My best friend, my sister, Grizz. I mean, we fight like brothers and sisters. We talk like we're brothers and sisters, and we understand each other. You know, um, but there's certain things I don't talk about with Grizz because I'm unsure if that's what is best for us. That's what's best for the community. And again, like I said, the logical side of me thinks if I make this decision, it's going to affect more than just me. I'm not ready to do that. I wanted to ask you, what's the significance of the number 8, if there's any?
Why do you ask that?
Because it came up twice in the reading.
Well, I mean, 8, and then there's 8 people in here, right? So this is abundance.
No,
I
it's
mean,
it's
8
one of those
is
dentist moments.
no,
Okay, rinse. It's
no,
one
no.
of those dentist moments.
Listen. I actually have an infinite heart tattoo, and I got that like maybe 7 years ago. And the 8 is infinite, it's eternal, but it's 888. It's maximizing its strength in tarot. It's the magician. It's the ability to create.
Okay.
So, like I feel like the thing, so I'll be very, you're creating so many beautiful opportunities and gifts in your life, and you're stifling yourself in fears of things, of not knowing how other people will be arranged, as opposed to having faith in the divine that these things will work out so that you can grab a larger audience potentially, if that was what you wanted to do, because this is something you have created and it's now manifesting in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that you need to really like take in, because we have to be mindful. Everything in our life, bad and good, is something we created. It is something we needed to walk through, co-created. Yes, Blessed Diva said it. Yeah.
Spirit has just said, why are you afraid of success?
This is a limiting ideal. This is something where you're such a giver and you're such a loving person that you don't want to feel like you're stomping on people, and you want to feel like you're having a group that is subpar, when there's the group, which is amazing, and you have the ability to create something to even illuminate more to them. And success doesn't mean anything. We all have this idea, and that's one of the things I feel like a lot of the spiritual communities, we live in this mindset where we're not deserving of the great things that people have, because we know what that means. We know what that means on a deeper level. And if we have too much, it's like, are we being greedy? Is there infinite resources in Mother Earth? Yeah. Does the universe provide? Yes. When we limit our minds and believe that there's not, then we create those ideas and the fears that belong to them. But fear doesn't belong in this life.
Mm. Boy, I lived a life of fear a long time, I tell you. That's
Yeah.
one of those emotions that are very difficult to get out of when you live in fear.
Mm-hmm.
It stifles the way you think. It stifles your actions. It stops you from evolving, from moving forward, from transitioning.
Yeah.
Does it pertain to me now? Maybe. Does it pertain to this decision? Possibly. Wasn't expecting that, I have to tell you. Okay. Okay. There's some decision making that needs to be done. There's some choices I need to make. Anything else I should know?
I think that's it for the moment that they want to share.
Okay.
I
And I'm
I
sure.
want to say though, that you are such a beautiful soul. Like I see you for who you are, and I want, one of the things I desire for people in humanity is that we all strive to live the best version of our lives and not stifle with fear, with limitations, with the things we've seen around us, because it is only through our growth and our ability to stand as a leader, as you are, that we can continue to help pull up many, many people. Because if you are in a buoy and you're in the water and there's only three poles, or people that are holding and pulling, and you see like 10 more over there and you have an ability to row, like what are you doing?
Mhm. Yeah, I think the old person that I used to be, the person that I used to be, was about serving himself, was about being a success for himself. And I thought being successful at work and providing a home and a car and food and electricity and water, I thought that was my idea of being a successful dad. Um, I thought taking my ex-wife to numerous trips, providing her with everything her heart desired. Um, I thought that was me being a successful husband. And it was really the materialistic side of provision. And what I had failed was in the emotional side, in the true connection. Someone asked me if I thought, we talked about soulmates and twin flames. Someone asked if I thought my ex-wife was my soulmate or my
You're
twin
so
flame. And immediately, without anger, without anything else, without any thought, just with my intuition, just with my gut, just with what I believe, I don't believe she was. But she and I had the longest contract together, the soul contract together, to be able to have our three children and grow apart. And the soul contract is done. And that soul contract, when it was done, it was so hard for me. And then I found this community, and I found my friends, and now we're here today. We're here. And I've been offered this possibility of transition, of moving, evolving. And I've been fighting it for a few months now. And I'm not one to really share my emotions. I'm not one to really share the very deep thoughts of myself. It's very rare that I'll do that. So for me, I'm being as transparent and as open, as vulnerable as I can with you right now. You being an empath will feel my energy, will know that. Um, I really would like to have changes in my life that would make my life easier. But I think there's decisions that I need to make to help me make it easier. I worry about this community. I think about this community. I'm always concerned that I'm not doing enough. I'm always concerned that I'm not connecting enough. And I'm always concerned that I'm not present enough, especially here on Instagram. And part of my reply to this person was, I cannot leave something undone before I move on to something else. I've never been that type of person. I've always believed that there has to be some kind of a closure or some kind of a passing of the torch in order for me to move on. And there possibly will be a time where I pass the torch and move on, but it's worth looking into. I think that's what your message was to me. It's worth looking into.
Yeah. And exploring the emotion that is going with it, because it's not just black and white. And I think that you have it in your, well, because the logic, right? We want to see just things two ways, but you have the ability to expand that and to really dive a little deeper into why you're feeling like it's left or right, when really there's a win in both of those situations either way. It's all about perspective.
Yes, it's all about perspective. And that was your rinse moment for the night. Our guest tonight is Tina, Infinite Moon Love. Thank you so much for that reading. That's special. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Will you do me a favor? Will you please share your social media with our live, with our community, please?
So you can reach me at YouTube, TikTok, or the Instagram, which is Infinite Moon Love. And my link tree, even if you were to Google that, you can go link tree and type Infinite Moon Love, and you will find any link that you need in there regarding coaching or just 30-minute or 1-hour sessions as well.
Also, I believe you said email is infinitelovemoon@hotmail.com.
InfiniteMoonLove@hotmail.com, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool. Very, very cool. I'm not sure I want to be sensitive to the time difference. I believe it's almost 10 for you there, so I want to be sensitive about that. You're welcome to give another reading if you'd like to. The official formal part of our podcast is now finished.
I think I will hop off. It is really late. I've had a really long day. As you can see, I messaged you early. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate being here with you guys. So it was a pleasure. It was truly an honor to embody your guys' energy, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you, Tina. I hope it's okay for us to put the replay up on our YouTube channel with you. If you'd like, I find a way to share it with you as well, but it will probably be put up on our YouTube channel in the next couple of days. We also have a community group chat. So we make an offer for all of our guests to join the group chat. If you'd like, we can have my partner Grizz add you. We talk a lot about things behind the scenes, things that are coming up. So if you'd like to, if you're okay with that, some people aren't, we'd be more than happy to add you to a group chat.
I love that.
Cool. Tina, thank you again for being here. Thank you everyone who joined us tonight, and thank you to Grizz, my partner, for the amazing post that you did in such a short amount of time. And thank you for that. Thank you to the people in our community that has joined us tonight, especially One Blessed Diva, who has given some beautiful messages in chat. I'm watching it. Cleo, Reddit, or Trisha, who's here, and everybody else who has joined us. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week. Aloha.
Bye-bye.